Turkeys!
Have that flow state of learning, where everything just comes together like this.
And it's clicking while you're literally clicking your mouse pad.
Exactly.
Is there any part of this that...
Hello, and welcome to Exploring the Holos. First taught in the 1840s, Thomas Carlyle created the great man theory. Great man theory is the belief that there's a great, smart, powerful savior who will come save us all and make our life better. These great men are bound to lead, born with all the traits to rise to power. They're charismatic and pleasant, bring order to chaos, born with leadership traits. They fit into a hero archetype. It's very comparable to the English monarchy's idea of divine right, where the ruler is chosen by God. Though most people haven't heard of this theory, they show through religion, politics, and social media that they do believe that someone is coming to save them, be it Jesus, Trump, or Elon Musk. If you saw my last video on archetypes, you could see how the great man theory is just a misunderstanding of an archetype, of archetype worship, and power self-projection. It's often a belief of people hungry for leadership. Both President Trump and Elon Musk have used the savior archetype to portray themselves as great men. They've flaunted money and referred to themselves as geniuses to encourage the power self-projection of those who are poor and don't consider themselves smart. See how this works? It's my hope that soon the world will wake up and see the grift. No political, religious, corporate, or entertainment figure is going to save you. They just want your money. Look inward. Inward. It's time to save ourselves. The great man is androgynous, and it's in you. It's hilarious to me that these great men either always believe their own propaganda or eventually believe it. Let's focus on Musk for a second. A man with 13 kids, when he has no time for any of them. He's also the CEO of 4 companies, whom all complain of a lack of leadership because he doesn't have time for them, and is now head of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, says that we should trust him to get us safely to Mars. And his trucks are falling apart and his rockets are exploding. I do not want to get on his rocket to Mars. I'll take my chances here with the smog and the climate change. I kind of feel sometimes like the grift is we can let corporations get away with destroying this planet because Elon Musk is going to save us and take us to another planet. And I feel like it's wrong to believe in that. And he really seems to have no idea why he's failing. And under the guise of cutting government spending, our very stable genius of a president, Donald Trump, has hired Musk to head the DOGE department. Elon is an unelected foreign-born billionaire cutting federal jobs and essential programs that many Americans depend on. Thus, the stock price for Musk's car company, Tesla, has lost 50% of its value. Elon Musk, also a genius, doesn't understand why hurting people would make him unpopular with them and crash his stock in his companies. Look, I understand he's got a form of autism, and I'm not a doctor, but his lack of understanding of empathy seems sociopathic to me, and at least narcissistic at the least. Imagine how little empathy you'd have to have a dozen or more kids and not have the time for them. It's very selfish or sociopathic. I'm not saying that there's no waste or fraud in the government, and I'm sure there's abuse of government services by some people, but it's not in the areas that he's cutting. This seems unnecessarily cruel to the poor and the middle class of this country. And he has not so far, and he's most likely not going to cut any military spending or Pentagon spending, although everybody knows that is where most of the fraud and abuse and inefficiency is. That's where all the money is disappearing. And funding foreign wars, weapon contractors, and billions per year in Israel, if I was in his place, that would be the first place I would cut spending. So since Doge is hurting his companies and we are already paying our tax dollars for military contracts to SpaceX, Starlink, and Tesla, maybe he should give the taxpayers a cut of the profits from those companies. If we were all Tesla stockholders, it would probably not receive the hate that it does, i.e. the fire bombings and the shootings at the dealerships of people that are pissed off at him because he's cutting their jobs and cutting their benefits, cutting their SNAP. If you think this is a good idea, that we should all get a cut of the profits for Tesla or his other companies, you can go to where'sourcut.com and you can sign this petition to petition him to make his companies national so that all of the Americans can be stockholders of Tesla. And I think that would be a good idea for him, and it'd be a good idea for us. So go to that and sign the petition. That'd be great. You know, I wish we could all come together and decide to use Plato's philosopher king method for choosing our leaders. And I think it'd be great to do that before it's too late. But we are trapped by this capitalist system that is only going to pick the leaders who are going to give all the money to the powerful people. And it's like a cycle. It's a vicious cycle where the rich people pick the leaders who are going to give them all the money. So thus funneling all the money to the richest people. And it's not sustainable. This is going to crash. And it'd be better to have the philosopher king method where, you know, we would vote for a representative council a council of philosophers who are the most compassionate and empathetic genius philosophers. And they would get together and then they would vote for who they thought would be the most compassionate philosopher. And if they were the right person, the right leader, they wouldn't want to be the leader. And but they would have to do it because that's just the way it is. Because it's their duty. And I think that's the kind of leader we need. Not somebody who's out for themselves. Not somebody out for money. Money shouldn't be a factor in it at all. They would be provided for everything that they need to survive. But you don't need to have a golden mansion in Florida. It's just ridiculous. You don't need to have golf courses around the world or all these private jets. You don't need your own jet. You need taxpayers to pay for a coach ticket so you can fly across the country. Why should you have to be any different than a normal person? If you can't live like a normal person and you are the leader of all those people, then you're not doing it right. If you can't live like a normal person, that means that your normal people aren't being taken care of. If you can live with your normal people and be comfortable, then you know you're doing it right. So let's create a world that doesn't require fictitious heroes to save the day. Anyways, it's just a thought. Keep yourself safe. Till next week. Ad Astra, my friends.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots.